Hello and welcome to Lancast. We're your hosts, Danny Martin and Josh Gerber. How you guys doing? I just wanted to say before we jump into our material this episode, thank you everyone who's listening. We're trying to replace legacy media really because we think podcasts are the way of the future, and we're not doing this for money. We just want to get truth and information out there. That's why we're doing this, and we can't do it without your support. So thank you, everyone. Again, subscribe and tell your friends about us, if you like our material. And did you have anything to add to that, Josh?
I think the only thing I would add is that, we are in an interesting place in Pennsylvania, and there's really only one local news outlet, and that's the LNP. And the LNP has obvious biases. There are a lot of conservatives, Republicans, and moderates that are, looking for news politically that are coming from all different directions that would like to listen to maybe a non-biased podcast or a non-biased source of information that talks about local stuff and, the general things going on in the country and current events. So if you guys enjoy us talking about these things and find value in it, we're new, we're only going to grow, we're only going to get better, and we're doing this out of the love of our country, out of the love of the people around us, and this isn't a financial endeavor. So the only capital we want is for people to listen and for people to spread the word and for us to set up this parallel economy here in Lancaster County. And, at least let the conservatives have an outlet for news and commentary and, just as big as a community that the LNP has.
Yeah, an outlet, and just to let people know that there's like-minded voices out there, so nobody has to feel alone. You know what I mean? I mean, people maybe already feel that way, but we're here for you. There's there's more of us than you think, and especially now. I mean, this is kind of a good segue into the election. I feel like, and this feels different from 2016. For me, at least, I wasn't on board the Trump train at the time. I was a third-party voter, although I did want him to win. I was like, this guy is easily the lesser evil. Look at his platform, non-intervention. Anyway, that was 8 years ago, and a lot of people were kind of closeted Trump supporters because the atmosphere was so toxic, like you'd be ashamed to, not ashamed. I mean, that's my point. People maybe thought they were supposed to feel ashamed, and that's, I'm getting my ahead of myself, but I think I had so many takeaways from election day. What a victory, for those of us who wanted Trump to win, who voted for him. Not only did he win, it's a historic moment, just a mandate from the masses. And before I get into my election day observances, because I did work the polls all day, and it was pretty interesting. But did you have anything you wanted to introduce into this episode, Josh?
Well, I guess the expectation, I was expecting Trump to win electorally with the Electoral College, but I wasn't expecting him to win the popular vote.
Right.
So I was pretty well awestruck at his popular vote win. And I really just am impressed and shocked, and like the mainstream media really is just completely falling apart. They can call him whatever they want to call him, and I don't think it matters anymore. And that's a great sign, for America. That's a great sign for the world that mainstream media doesn't have as much grip as we thought they did. It was I had this strange positivity going into the election. I think we talked privately about it, that we both
Yes.
felt pretty good about it.
You
A lot of people
had predicted it was going to be decided that evening, and I didn't have that confidence. I thought it was going to be like 2020, or 2000. Yeah.
Yeah. I just had a really good feeling about it. I'm like, thanks to RFK and Swamp the Vote, and him pushing that. Basically, the moment he endorsed Trump, he said, "Vote as soon as you can. Like, don't wait till election day. We want to swamp the vote, and we don't want any cheating going on. We want it to be impossible to rig." So yeah, it was just an amazing victory. Something that I think is going to make a lot of people on the left have to take a deep gulp and rethink, their future in American politics, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's got to be some introspection, some self-reflection on not just the Democrat side, but maybe the media needs to figure out how they're actually going to survive.
And then the neocons, this is an outstanding repudiation of the neocons. They were trying to force Nikki Haley down our throat.
Right.
And they're like, she would beat Biden, she would beat anyone. I mean, I'm pretty sure Trump would have beat anyone with how much he just won by.
Yeah, exactly. And
so
go ahead.
So I mean, it's so much more than Trump just winning. I mean, he has solidified his brand of the Republican Party now. This will go past him.
Right.
I think earlier we had talked about like where Maha will go after Trump. I'm not sure if it'll be called Maha, but that movement. I mean, this is such a mandate that this is the Republican Party. That platform, his platform, is the Republican Party. There's no denying it. This coalition is better than any coalition that Obama had in either election he ran in, and they used to talk that thing up like crazy.
Absolutely.
And we can go into the demographics either now or later. But if you want to get into your experience on polling on election day, go ahead. I have some stuff I wrote down about the demographics and how it broke down on like first time voters, black voters, and so on and so forth. That's interesting. But if you want to take the wheel, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I just wanted to, my observances about election day. Like, I was nervous going out there and kind of outing myself to the community because I was decked out in my Trump gear. I had the button from it shows fight, it has the Butler scene, and I was wearing my Vote Beezer shirt for half a day, but the other half of the day I was wearing my T-shirt that I got at the rally at the airport last Sunday. That was something. There were so many things though since we last talked. I mean, I went to that rally, I went to the Trump town hall, and I just feel like I've been part of something historic and really exciting and fun and positive. Like, just there's a lot of joy on this side. Let's put it that way. And but anyway,
we have the joy for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But so election day in my neighborhood, it's a very heavily Democratic neighborhood. We always our totals, we always lose to the Democrats in my precinct. But I'm friendly with, I know a lot of people in my neighborhood, and probably most of them didn't know I was not just a Republican, but a committee man and voting, very obviously voting for Trump because I had my Trump gear. And I was a little nervous about how, people are going to yell at me or whatever, but everyone was pleasantly polite. And, there were a couple of my close neighbors were like, I still love you, I disagree with you, but, it doesn't matter. So it was very reassuring, and it was very positive, and lots of smiles, and it was a fun time. And even the guys working across the aisle, they were cool to me. But I had all my materials, like my letters to the editor and a bunch of articles, and it was kind of naive of me because what I learned is like I'm not gonna convince anyone on election day. Nobody actually wants to really debate anything. They want to tell you that you're wrong and why, but they're not going to really inquire about why you're voting the way you are. So that was just an observation. And post-election, yeah, it's like I'm just going to say I'm going to try to stay off social media because it's kind of like some of the same neighbors who I saw there are like having meltdowns and like kind of accusing our side of being like empowering like misogyny and racism and ridiculous stuff. And it's like, well, I guess you must be talking about me because like I'm on that side that's empowered that. So for me, it's a little disappointing to me that like the other side hasn't like kind of gotten past the mentality in 2016 because like you've had 4 years of him governing and none of that came true. So I don't know why are these fears out? Well, I know why the fears are out there because every commercial had like Project 2025 on it, and how do you tell people like that's just a hoax? Like anyway, I'm kind of rambling. Like maybe it's not that interesting, but those are some of my observations and feelings this week. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about demographics. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I have quite a few like liberal, like I would actually call them leftist, not classical liberals. Well, right. I have a few like leftist friends, and most of them have been pretty calm and moderate about it. I don't know. I guess my friend group doesn't have too many people who think like it's the end of democracy, and not very many of them are saying like what the mainstream media is saying, which is like the only reason why Kamala lost was because of the white uneducated women voted for Trump.
Oh yeah,
which is just such a terrible thing to say.
So ridiculous. Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, to question someone's like knowledge on voting. I mean, voting is much more of a more spiritual and logical and right. In the moment kind of thing than it is like a science.
Right.
Like voting, whoever you vote for, there's no like right answer, because no candidate is perfect. So
right.
It's just
really
ridiculous.
It really doesn't have to do with anything with somebody's intelligence. I mean, I did that episode a few episodes back, talking about like the Milgram experiments and the Asch conformity experiments. Like, anybody can be subject to that. It doesn't matter your intelligence level. So it really shouldn't come into play. But yeah, they shouldn't be calling people racist or whatever, misogynist either. It's just really bad. And that's the great thing about this election. The majority of the country has rejected corporate media. And I think there was I was just going to say, I mean, I'll let you finish your thought, but I was just going to say there was a Scott Adams tweet to that effect where he said this election is about, whether the side that believes corporate media wins or the other side. Anyway, go ahead. Something to that effect.
Absolutely. This election was, I think, was it around 5 million so far? 5 million for Trump more than Kamala, right?
Yeah, around 5 million.
Yeah, so I mean that is just such a. I think that number alone, it's really sinking in leftist people's minds that he got 5 million more. And I don't like. I thought maybe we were going to be on the brink of some civil strife. I thought we were going to be on the brink of mass just compilations and compilations of leftist melting, online. Right. And there's been some of that, but it's nothing like compared to what 2016 was. There's no rioting in Washington D.C. There's no, or at least from what I've seen, there's no real vandalism or rioting going on because Trump won. So that's like a huge. That's huge to me. That like
Did
I
you?
just
Yeah.
massive.
No, I wanted to speak to that. Did you listen to the Dave Smith, Joe Rogan podcast from, I think it was
I
yesterday?
I listened to it as soon as it came on.
Yeah. Well, he had an interesting theory about that, about how, and I don't necessarily agree with this, but he said that because the left, or I guess the anti-war left, or some subset of the left has been protesting, the war in Gaza,
Oh
and
yeah.
they've spent, you know, he's something to the effect that they've spent all their energy that they don't want to. They would look like hypocrites if they were protesting for the past year, or what's a plausible genocide. He called it, because the International Court of Justice also called it that. But anyway,
Mhm.
like, how hypocritical would it be if you're protesting that, what you call a genocide, and then you go vote for the same side that's enabling that? Like,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? They didn't want to look like there wouldn't be any rationale to that, to like,
Well, yeah, that's a
pro
great point. Yeah,
right,
in 2020, if you remember, the day after Biden was declared the winner, Black Lives Matter and Antifa were like, "Yeah, we voted for him, but we're still going to keep on rioting. We're still going to keep on protesting." So that's those are, from what I understand, those are the same kind of people who are protesting, Palestine right now. Um,
right.
So I mean, I remember when that happened. Like you would have figured, they'd be rejoicing, and they're like, "No, we voted for Biden, but we don't really like Biden."
Interesting.
So yeah, very interesting. I heard Dave say that, and I was like, "Well, that I guess that is a plausible, reason." Um, but I wanted to get into some of the demographics of the voting and some of the compare and contrast from 2020 to now. So all this information, because we had a fact checker on the last podcast. This is from via U.S. News World Report. So not exactly the most right leaning publication, but
Yeah.
um, this. I mean, the information on it is good. So I'm just gonna go down the list on some groups of voters and like compare and contrast from 2020 to 2024. Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So first time voters in 2020, 32% of those voters backed Trump. And in 2024, first time voters backed Trump, and it was 54%.
Okay.
So, which is just that's a big jump in support from first time voters. Um, and typically, a first time voter would be how old? Would you guess?
18.
Right, right. Or 18 to 20. What would that be? 18 to 22 would be first time voters technically.
Yeah, right.
So there's been a lot of people talking about this. Vivek Ramaswamy's been talking about it. Some other conservative, Matt Walsh has been talking about it from the Daily Wire. That Tim Pool as well has been talking about how the young men of this country, for the first time, are tilting hard right. And this actually proves it, that the young men, is this the Gen Z, correct? 18 to 22, somewhere around there. That's Gen
Hmm.
Z. Gen Z is tilting more right than any generation before it. Um, and you can kind of see it right there, 54% for Trump in 2024 and 32% for Trump in 2020. I mean, that's a good sign for the future of our nation if young men are, um, you know, weeding through the corporate media, weeding through, popular opinion, especially weeding through popular opinion among women. Um, and we'll get to that a little bit later in that demographic. But the next one I want to talk about was black votes. So
Hmm.
people have been speculating that, especially black men, were going to vote pretty hard for Trump. Um, that kind of did. So overall, though, Trump got 16% of the black vote, but Harris actually underperformed compared to Biden in 2020. Harris got 83%, and Biden actually got 91%, which is bananas. Absolutely crazy that he got that. Especially with the things he said about the black community when he was a senator. It's just absolutely insane. So, among black men, Trump did do better this time around, and actually got 24% of the black male vote. Which I could not find. I could not find a comparison from 2020, but I know that they were saying that, from what I remember of 2020, they were saying that if Trump would get 18% of the black male vote, that would be good. Well, in this one, he got 24%. So
he hit it out of the park.
Yeah, he did much better, much better. So that's with a African American / Indian candidate on the Democratic side, whatever you'd like to call her.
Yeah, and I had heard like the whole Obama thing kind of backfired too. It's like it's kind of condescending, like, I don't remember what he said, but he gave some pitch about how they're supposed to step up and vote for
the people who look like them.
Yeah. Something like that. And it's like, come on,
it's horrible.
Like, this is not going to work. Yeah.
Imagine if Trump said that. Imagine if Trump was like, I'm Caucasian. Everyone who's Caucasian should vote for me. Like, it's just, she can't say that. It's
I'm optimistic that we're behind the era of peak identity politics. I mean, maybe not with everyone, but I think the majority of the country is beyond that. So that's that's one of the other good things that come about this election. Yeah.
Now Latino. All right. We talked about this privately about the Madison Square Garden rally, and them having Tony Hinchcliffe, who's a comedian, who's also a roaster, a very graphic roaster, as like the opening monologue. I'm a fan of Tony Hinchcliffe. He does a show on YouTube every Monday. It's called Kill Tony, where he basically pulls a name out of the bucket, and you have a minute to make him laugh or to impress him. And then he usually has famous comedians there with him judging these 1 minute stand-up comedy bits. But he's a roaster. At his heart, he roasts people, meaning he makes fun of people.
Right.
He picks someone's weakness and makes it funny at their own expense. So, he was at the roast of Tom Brady. He really blew up when he was roasting Tom Brady. So this is what this guy does. Now, was it the most genius idea to say something about an island that is a floating piece of garbage right before an election? No, I don't think that was a good idea. But apparently it didn't matter. It didn't matter.
No.
So here's the numbers. Right. So 2024, Harris got 56%, Trump got 42%. In 2020, Biden got 63% and Trump got 35%. So, as I had said to you and some of my other friends, no one cared about that joke.
Right. I mean, I'll give you my honest opinion. When I first heard that, I've never heard before of Tony Hinchcliffe, and I don't watch roast comedy. Maybe I'm just too innocent or something like that. It's not.
I shouldn't watch it either.
It doesn't appeal to me, the idea of it. I mean, maybe I'd watch it and think it's funny, but I've never sought it out. But anyway, I watched that clip and I thought I didn't think it was funny, and I thought it was so bad. such a bad joke that I thought the guy was a plant or something because I didn't know who he was. And yeah, I mean, I felt bad because look, I'm like the biggest Puerto Rico file I think I've mentioned because I lived in Puerto Rico for 4 years when I was young, and I just love it. I mean, it's I romanticize it. It's like paradise to me, and I love my Puerto Rican friends and neighbors. And I felt bad about this joke, but at the same time, it's like I didn't think any of my Puerto Rican friends who were voting for him were going to change their mind. It's just
Right.
somebody said something stupid, and it wasn't even Trump. So like, what does it matter?
Right. So let
Yeah.
me just explain a little bit about
Yeah.
comedy. And
Yeah.
you might have heard I think you might have heard Rogan. Rogan made some comments about it as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
I mean, and
Tony
Dave loved it.
Tony
Yeah.
Hinchcliffe's so Tony Hinchcliffe's comedy show Kill Tony is
Hmm.
based in Joe Rogan's comedy club, which is the mothership.
Okay.
Uh, so they're tight. Like they hang out all the time. Dave Smith hangs with them all the time.
Right.
So like Tony and Rogan, Shane Gillis, all these big time comedians all are based in Austin, Texas. And they actually
Okay.
went to Austin, Texas because of COVID. They
Ah,
were
interesting.
all in LA, and then COVID happened and they moved to Austin, Texas because they couldn't take the insanity anymore. Um, so anyway, so Rogan was saying that it was a good joke. It was a good joke. It was just not in the best
Not
place.
the best context. Yeah. Right.
So like a joke like that belongs in a comedy place, not a serious political event.
Right.
Um,
100%.
yeah. So he said. Rogan was saying like, if he would have said that joke, and built it up a little bit more,
Yeah.
and did that like at the mothership, it would have killed.
Right.
Um, but it won't kill at a political event in the morning.
Right.
So it's
I
more like
love the way Dave put it. It's so funny. Like he said he didn't know what Tony was going to do going up there, and then he starts talking. He's like, "Oh, Tony's just going to do Tony." It's hilarious the way he put that.
and Tony is a classical liberal guy.
Uh-huh.
He's actually not like a hard right guy. He's actually gay.
Hmm.
Like he loves Trump.
He cares about the
He-
environment. Yeah.
he loves Trump. Now it's kind of funny because Rogan was saying on that podcast that no one was watching the TV and counting the Latino vote harder than Tony Hinchcliffe was.
Yeah. He breathed a sigh of relief come Tuesday
Yeah,
night.
he said, look, guys, he did better with the Latinos than ever before.
Yeah.
So that's just another example of the mainstream media trying to whip up hysteria, whip up anger, tear us apart even more, over something that really no one thought was funny, and most
Yeah.
people just didn't think about it again.
Right. Exactly. Yep. That's what they do, and I'm so glad it seems to be at least half the country is evolving past that, which is great news.
Yeah, I agree, and thank you to every single libertarian who voted for Trump. I mean,
Yeah.
Chase Oliver did horrible. I mean, he did. The Libertarian candidate did so bad that he lost to a smaller party than his, the Green Party, and lost to a guy
Right.
who endorsed Trump, Kennedy. This is the
Hmm.
lowest of lows for the Libertarian Party, and it's because they picked a bad candidate, and Trump actually went to their convention
Right.
and said, "Hey, I will free Ross Ulbricht," which hopefully he's pardoned day one. He said he's going to put a libertarian in his cabinet. So the
Right.
Libertarians came out and voted for him. So we should thank the Libertarians who probably sucked it up and voted for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
a
really
beautiful
give credit.
coalition.
It's a
Right,
great
right.
coalition.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know much about Chase Oliver, but I had heard like this is a guy who cheered when Trump got deplatformed. That's like, why are you cheering that? Like, you're supposed to be free speech. That's not libertarian at all. But anyway, yeah, I'm so glad for the coalition we had this time around, and I was glad to be a part of it. What was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, going back to election day, like being at the polls, like I know that like a lot of people would come out of the polling booth and they'd kind of whisper to me like, "Thank you for being here," and I was like, I could tell, okay, they must have voted for Trump, but they didn't want anyone to know. And this is the what part of the stigma I wanted to crack, like by outing myself to the neighborhood. Like I wanted to be a voice for them. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to be ashamed of who you vote for. And I just hope that's how we proceed forward in the next 4 years. Like we're gonna be proud Trump supporters. Like he's not gonna be perfect, but we had ample good reason to vote for him and to be optimistic about the future. So
yeah, and we should be optimistic about the future because as of right now, it's a clean sweep. As of right now, we're gonna have the House. We're gonna keep the House. We're gonna win back the Senate. We're gonna have the White House, and we have a Republican Party. Instead of believing in Russia being involved in Trump's win, we're gonna have hopefully a Republican Party ready to go to work.
Yes,
and also we're gonna have a Senate that will be able to approve any appointee that he wants. Which is going to be another huge thing because some of the hurdles that Republicans were saying they're going to have is that he could win the presidency, not win the Senate, not win the majority of the Senate, and then therefore people like RFK and Vivek Ramaswamy wouldn't be approved to their appointments because the Senate has the vote power to. I mean, most of the time, anyone that a president appoints will be approved. But I mean, depending upon what the Democrats are, how dirty they're going to play, it's not a guarantee. But I think right now we have 53 for sure. For senators, so we should be able to pretty much push through any appointee for the FDA, the Department of Education, Department of Agriculture, Department of Defense. We should be able to put anyone in there really that we want without being stopped.
Yeah.
So that's huge. That's huge.
Right. And we got to continue to hold his feet to the fire. Absolutely no neocons in the cabinet.
No neocons. I think I posted that the other day. Yeah. I think I posted that on Facebook the other day. No, please, no warhawks and neocons.
Right.
Please.
Right. But yeah, I'm just excited to see how Maha can make a difference policy wise coming up. And
RFK's already mentioned one of the first things they're going to do. He is going to advise every single water authority in the nation to remove fluoride.
Yeah,
that's
one of the
first things he's gonna. That's one of the first things he's gonna do. Which studies have proven that fluoride decreases IQ, and that you can keep your teeth clean by brushing your teeth with your own fluoride toothpaste. You don't need to drink it.
Oh yeah, right. I wondered about that because I had a conversation. I was at the dentist recently, and I told, what do you call the person who cleans your teeth before the actual dentist comes in? Anyway, I was telling her I had bought this tooth powder, and she was like, "Well, as long as it has fluoride, you can use that instead of toothpaste." And I don't know what my point is, but yeah, it occurred to me like, okay, they're serious about the fluoride for the cleaning of the teeth, but why do you have to drink it?
Well, yeah, so
it makes no
sense. I guess at the time they thought it was a public good to put fluoride in the water to keep our teeth healthy and strong. You can believe that whether you want to. There's also proof that there were higher levels of fluoride in the water in more minority-driven communities than higher white affluent communities had less fluoride in their water sources. So there's definitely there was definitely some kind of whether it was an experiment or it was just something completely nefarious, but
Interesting.
he says that's one of the first things that he wants to do is he said it would take more time to do it by force. He said he's going to basically send out a strong recommendation to remove fluoride from all water. So that's great news. That's a step in the right direction.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we're going to learn of many things coming out. Stuff is changing so fast. We're just talking about before this call. But yeah, I think we should do an episode again very soon just to go over like the new appointments and new policies like you just mentioned.
I did read something else about, and I don't know if this is true or not. I don't even know if it's even worth saying. I read something online, I think it was on X, that Trump has already reached out. That Trump and Elon have reached out to Zelensky and has told him basically that there's not going to be any more support. You should prepare your peace agreement to end the war with, and that no more aid is coming.
Yeah, I haven't read that one because I had read some other ones that was more like negative, like he had put together this peace deal that's going to arrive dead in the water. But maybe that's something else, or maybe that was obsolete news. Interesting.
I'm not 100% sure if that was like 100% authenticated or not. But I do think that he can get this war over before he's even in office. I mean, Reagan got the hostages back, I think, the day after he won the election. So, if I remember right, if history serves me right, how many hostages was it? Was it several hundred, or I can't remember how many hostages.
Man. I was really young, but I remember hearing about that.
Yeah. It was like as soon as he won, they're like, okay, you can have him back. So
yeah.
So
that was a big
deal. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming out. I know RFK was mentioning that Trump says he wants actual physical results within 2 years with a decrease in chronic diseases in children within the first 2 years. And RFK said, no problem, I can do that right away. So there's going to be changes coming.
That's awesome.
There's gonna be serious changes coming. There's going to be serious changes coming to our food. And hey, bring on the tariffs, man.
Right.
Bring on the tariffs, and let's find a way to not tax overtime, and let's get something worked on to either repeal the income tax amendment of the Constitution, or to at least make it to where if you make a certain threshold, you get a rebate from the IRS and you don't pay really anything in tax. You might pay it all year long, but then you get it all back as a rebate to kind of circumnavigate the amendment.
Yeah, that sounds good. We shall see.
We should.
Anything else you want to say? Anything else you want to say before we wrap up? Because I got to go soon.
Yeah. Just it's a new dawn, and there's a mandate, and Americans want this to happen. It's gonna happen, and everyone who listens to this, we thank you. We thank you for the time that you take. We hope you would message us and tell us what you think, or ask us to talk about something on the podcast, or even come on the podcast. We are an open book. We're doing this for the fun of it, for the love of it. And don't be shy. I know I have agreements with one of our county commissioners, Josh Parsons, is going to come on hopefully in January.
Awesome.
Kind of talk about the county, talk about, what a county commissioner does. Maybe he can give us some information on the voter registration issue that happened right before the election. Maybe he'll have some information he could give us on that, and just give in general, state of the union state of the county, excuse me, not state of the union, the state of the county for us, so we can really get informed locally here what's going on.
That sounds great. Yeah, we're going to have some good guests coming on in the future. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and hope you tune in soon, and we appreciate your continuing support. Bye, everyone.
See you later, guys.
If you would like to be a guest on Lancast or contact us for any reason, send an email to lanccastamericafirst@gmail.com. That's Lancast with 2 C's, americafirst@gmail.com. Thank you.